And welcome into the Bobby Carpenter Show. We got our guy, Anthony Schlegel. And, we try to always drop in some nuggets, some fun things, some interesting interviews. And had Coach Locke last week and now get one of the other, probably the youngest coach on staff, maybe if I'm not mistaken here. Pleased to welcome in the tight ends coach, Mr. Keenan Bailey.
Let's go.
Program.
Come on.
Are you the youngest coach on the staff?
I gotta be. No. Excuse me. Billy. No. Billy Fessler. Yeah.
Don't you punt that ball, Fessler.
No, and he's always talking smack because I'm like a month older than him. I just turned 30. As a feel to be in your 30s, I'm whatever. Anyway.
Well, here's the good news, Key. Like, Billy only walks through the weight room. You actually participate. Like, it's an active participation in sport.
Yes, he is.
All are welcome. All, like there's no rules who can lift in there. All are welcome.
I tell Billy that all the time. I go, listen, once Julian gets a little bit bigger, you're going to be the smallest dude in the room. So you have no alpha status at all. But I just want to talk a little bit, man, because you've been at Ohio State, what seems like forever. I mean, what is this? Is this your 10th season here now?
Yeah, I think this will be a decade coming up.
And, we talked to Coach Locke, and he calls himself the walk-on coach, and his story is amazing about how he got into college football. And, I mean, yours isn't really all that different. I didn't even realize you're at Notre Dame before you came here, but you're, an intern, an analyst, GA. I don't even know all the titles you had. So, I mean, just talk about that grind of how you got into it, how you got started, and what these last 7-8 years have been like.
Yeah, the abridged version is that I was at Notre Dame with Tony Alford, and then he knew I wanted to get into coaching, so I came down a weekend and kind of interviewed with Coach Meyer, and Coach Meyer offered me a spot to be like the intern, like the lowest of the low, and I was still a junior in college, and Coach Meyer's like, well, I don't know if you have the job in a year, so I had to hurry up and take like 20-something credits my last semester, graduate early, because you don't tell Coach Meyer no. You guys know that.
Yep.
And then, moved down here and have been here ever since. It's going on, however, 9-10 years like that, and kind of worked my way up. Didn't play football. When I got here, like whatever you could think about as an intern, it was definitely worse than that. Like I was getting the intern coffee. Luckily, though, Bobby, I was my second year is when Coach Hart and Day came here. And I got linked up with those two guys. And you guys know it's all about who you know. And I was lucky enough those were my two guys. And anytime they kind of got bumped up, I got bumped up with them. And here we are. So, those guys were my boss for the last decade. Everybody's boss. So, not everyone says, how's it different? Like, I've had a million different titles. And one thing that's cool, I coached with every position group on the side of offense over my time here. But those guys have always been my mentors and my boss, and I've been working with them.
Hold on, Schlegel. Well, I want to follow up on that, Schlegel, real quick, since you guys are reading Chopwood and Carry Water right now. And I actually got it. I don't have it in here. I'm making my kids read it. I bought a couple copies, and we're going through it. And what, I guess, over that process, and Schlegel, you may have had a similar question to this, but Keenan, what did you learn over those 7, 8, 9 years that has helped catapult you to today? Because everybody sees college football like, man, I want to be the guy that calls the plays. I want to be running this meeting. But, there's an acquisition of knowledge that happens over the course of time. You got to be with some really good guys.
Oh, my God, yeah. Yeah, and Bobby, a lot of times that gets, misconstrued into, I was patient. Like, I don't want to, use any profanity, but, heck with that. That always bothered me when someone said, I've always been patient. Like, you guys both know me. Like, there's nothing patient about me. Like, I'm, so every year, to answer your question, every year I learned something different. Like with Coach Meyer, his big thing was productive discomfort equals growth, period. So, you guys know how at the end of the season, everybody gets opportunities to leave. It is what it is when we win this many games. So whether you're the intern, the GA, the QC, the assistant coach, the head coach, you're going to have opportunities. When I was an intern, it was always where can I grow the most? And for me, growth was on discomfort. And it was always with Urban Meyer and Mick Marotti and Ryan Day for those first couple of years. After that, when things started to get real and there were actual real opportunities that man, I could go run that room, like you're saying, and maybe go call plays here, recently. It's always been about people over places. And I know that sounds corny, but for me, when I say places. I'm talking places, job titles, all that stuff. The people here, like you just said it, my boss is Ryan Day. He's the best offensive coach in the country. I get to work with Hartline every day. Tyler Bowen now. And, I mean, Coach Mick, he's my second boss. Like I joke about that. It's my guy. So if I get
you did, Coach Locke talked about it, right? He's at Memphis, and they wanted something done on third downs. And he was like, I'm going to be the best at that. And you do that, whether it was a mat drill, and that's how you get noticed, right? You talked about it, like how do you get noticed, and you go do those things to the very best on that day that they want. They're like, that guy kicked ass today. I want to go back to even the beginning of you're in college.
Yeah.
Why did you even want to coach? Like, what's the background of football for you and that love of coaching and developing young people?
Yeah.
You yourself being freaking young.
Thanks, Lex. I grew up around football, obviously, like, growing up, that was huge, playing with my brother and playing with my dad and all that. Loved football. I thought I wanted to work in it. I thought I wanted to be like a journalist or something coming out of high school. I played football in high school. I was not good. I loved the game. I wanted to work around it. I thought I was going to be like on ESPN or something. So actually I went to Mizzou out of high school, and the football coach I was recruiting in our high school knew I was going there, started talking to me, and he's like, hey, I want you to work for me. And that season when I was at Mizzou, we won the SEC East, set all these records, and like 6 months in, I was like, heck with journalism. Like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. Like, it was a great group, a great season. Transferred to Notre Dame, and the rest is history. But didn't play. Always knew I wanted to be around it. And you talked about those first couple of years, Coach Legs. Like, I think me graduating early, me not playing, was kind of transformative. Like, I always viewed it when I left college early to come be Coach Meyer's intern, that one day I'm going to interview with somebody who's still playing, whether he's a quarterback at Ohio State and now he's coaching, whether he's in the NFL. Like, one day I'm going to interview for the same job. And like, for me, that kept me up at night. Like, I'm like, I gotta learn more than him. While he's playing, I could be grinding on film. Like, he's playing, he might only play one position. I'm going to learn them all. Like, I'm going to learn recruiting and all that sort of thing. So I don't know, me not playing and just getting to start early, I think kind of fueled that, if that makes sense.
Yep.
What was it like, Key, when you finally get the opportunity to run your own room and being a part of some great coaches and helping to facilitate things? And your last stop was with Hart, being able to help him at the wide receiver and learn a ton there. But then you've given your own room. You got the tight ends, and now it's your show. I mean, it's success or failure based upon you. What were some things that maybe you thought that you didn't, or what was kind of the biggest learning curve there?
Yeah, you're definitely confident. Looking back on it, I was joking with somebody the other day. I was like, I didn't know what the heck I was doing. Now I did, but like I definitely made so many mistakes in a good way. Nothing big, but you're kind of learning on the job. You go back to your training, just like you are as a player. And like, my biggest thing, I didn't give a shit. I didn't care what happened. Like, my unit was going to be playing tough and playing hard. But no, Bobby, I'm definitely a better coach now than I was with Stover 2 years ago. There's no doubt about that.
Well, that's part of maturity. That's part of self-introspection. That's part of the discomfort to grow and be better, not only for yourself and your career, but more importantly for your guys. And I want people to know this, like, you're fanatical about your guys. Give them some stories, right? So you would send me videos of your guys.
Well, yeah, you
outside.
would help out. Yeah, you would help big.
Yeah.
I think when we crossed paths with Bobby, can talk about our first impressions. That was a good one. Even though Coach Lace and I are boys now, your family. But
yeah.
No, but my first year was with Stover, and like, he had an awesome year. And I had a receiving background. I helped him kind of his route running, and he had a great year. And first Mackey finalist in Ohio State history and all that stuff. But we didn't hit our goals as a tight end room and as a team. And like, I thought the two biggest things after that first season that my unit needed to get better at was being blocking, like blockers. Like, we needed to kick the shit out of D ends. And number two, we needed depth. And like, the entire offseason, I would go to you for ideas for drills. Like you say, fanatical. We did not catch a pass. Bobby, when Coach Mick gives us like those 12 minutes of Indy, like all offseason, like all winter, I told our EQ guys, I said, if you bring me a football, I'm going to pop it. Like, we're not catching one freaking pass. And like, we did some crazy blocking drills. Everything was competitive. We ordered some MMA sparring shields that me and the other assistant were wearing blocking drills, everything. And I don't know. I mean, you kind of fast forward and you look at the end product, and it worked. You look at the playoffs, we were blocking our tail off, and then the depth piece, that second year, I think was huge. I mean, I had all 6 of my guys play in the playoffs.
Hey, I want to add on to that, Bob. So when you're going out there, you're very hands-on. Tell everybody, like, again, this is January, February, March. You guys aren't catching a ball. You notice that we got to be better run blockers. Yeah. There has to be a shift in the mentality. Your bona fide dude is left. You had G that in 2022, right, headbutts a guy. There's growth and development, and Governors, right, like on his own growth. Tell everybody how that maturation of that room. I don't think a lot of people understand, because they think that I believe that some fans think that players run the room, and we all know it's about the relationship. Educate them how you go about individually while also collectively building the room with the mindset that you want to then be able to have an opportunity to have a 4 tight end set.
Yeah.
That they trust you that much, that your guys are that good. Tell them how that starts from the beginning.
Yeah. So like you said, it was last January, and coming off of the season, Cade left, there's no pecking order. The best you're going to play now, which is kind of refreshing. We brought in Will Kazmarek, who I thought was like the biggest badass in the portal. He didn't even start at OU. He was a great addition. But like the whole mantra, that first meeting, I brought him in and I said, guys, you're the least talented group on the team. And like they kind of look at you sideways because everyone has pride, but like you go up and down the hall, like no one's talking about the tight end. So the first meeting, I showed him a clip from that Jordan documentary of the Detroit Pistons, the Bad Boys. And like the Bulls could not freaking beat them. And the Bulls had all these all-stars. And you guys remember, like, the Pistons just beat the shit out of the Bulls. And these were the baddest dudes on the court. No one messed with them. They went the hardest. I said, guys, that's got to be us. If we are not the hardest playing group on the team, the toughest group on the team, at times we got to be pricks, then we're not going to hit our goals. And I firmly believe that. And, like, there was definitely times where, like, we definitely crossed the line, for sure. Like, myself, my GA Sean Binks was a freaking all-star. Like, definitely, like, we needed to simmer down. Like, Chip Kelly pulled me aside. Our first away game, our first Big Ten game was an away game at Michigan State. And the first drive, Kaz gets a 15-yard penalty because he bodied at the end. And, like, he might have did, like, a little extra. But, like, and, like, Coach Kelly observed that I didn't really get on him like that because I told him, I said, first 15-yarder, like, I'm not talking about a headbutt. I'm talking about I'm taking a guy against his will and putting him down. Like, that's on me. Like, I'm never going to tell you not to do that. Never. Now, we got to learn how to practice and do all that sort of thing. But Coach Kelly's like, I don't know if we could have that. I mean, you fast forward 8 months, like you just said, like, we get to the playoffs. The first play against Tennessee, I said, Coach, throw it behind my tight ends. We had Kaz and G out there. Kaz bodied a Tennessee DB on the perimeter. G blocked his guy out of bounds. We popped it off. Like, you fast forward to the national championship game, 4 tight ends on the field in the red area, all the Heartline's first-round receivers watching 14 personnel, and we're just smashing skulls in. So, like, it kind of worked. I think you get what you emphasize. And, like, this year we knew it, in the tight end room we had to be a bunch of tough guys.
Yeah.
Trying to keep it PG.
No, absolutely. We appreciate it, Key. I mean, you get fired up. And that's your guys and that's your room, and everybody wants to recruit the receiving tight end. But how do you – I always talk to tight ends about this. If you can block, you're infinitely more valuable because of the routes, the respect that the defense has to give. Because they run play action behind you, people actually respect that run, and that makes it easier for you to catch balls down the field. Like, it all works together. And you're talking about Chip a little bit right there. What did he mean to – because he comes in, he's just there for a year, but in my opinion, he's probably the best run game offensive mind that I've ever been around. His impact on the offense and his impact on your development.
Yeah, he was super creative. And I think the coolest thing about Coach Kelly is, like, a lot of these veteran coaches, or some of these veteran coaches that are so successful, like, in their head, like, that's how we do it. This is my answers. Coach Kelly, you could bring him a clip from a high school team you watch or a Division III team, Canada football, and be like, hey, you ever seen this? And he'd be the first to be open to it. So he was the most open coach I've ever been around as far as trying new things, different ways to skin the cat. Now, he's probably ran every scheme in the history of football. So he's like, yeah, I ran that back in 1996 again. All right. But no, he was super open, and he definitely leaned into, especially those last 4 games, what my unit did best, and it was fun.
I want to go into this. Let's talk about your room.
Yeah.
You bring in, someone in the and honestly, like you already had a very deep room who all have gotten better, right? And I want to say this to the people. I brought this up with somebody. Well, I was talking with Ross Bjork earlier about just different value propositions now. And George Fitzpatrick has an opportunity to go start at Kansas State. Patrick Gerd, who's been here, his dad played here, developed him. Awesome. Everything you want. Will have an opportunity to play at Cincinnati. You helped develop that and give him that opportunity. And then now you have this group of guys, and they're starting to get better. And Jelani's super talented, and Will has his key characteristics, and Christian Bennett, and then the Frenchie, right? Like he's in the mix. And you bring in Max. Talk to me about honestly, all of them. Talk about them. Talk about your room.
Yeah. So, I mean, we just talked a lot about, obviously we had the Stover year. And then last year we had to be a bunch of mauling badasses, and we were that. This year is kind of going to be fun because I'm not shying away from anything. Like, we should be the best tight end room in the country. And I know, like, oh my gosh, we're at Ohio State. Like, if I'm not going to say that, if that's not the expectation, they should get a new tight end coach. Like, seriously. Like, we can't just have the best DBs, best receivers. And, like, I'm not just saying it. I really do think that we have the best tight end room in the country, top to bottom. I think we had last year the best run blockers in the country. And now we just went out and they're all coming back. And then, or at least most of them are. Then we went out and got arguably the best receiving tight end in college football, and Max as far as production goes. So I think the room is stacked. It's super deep. I kind of irritates me when I hear people talk about tight end rooms across the country, and they kind of think about Ohio State as just a receiver school or just a running back. Like, so I have to kind of keep my mouth shut and just say, keep going to work, and we'll see what happens this year. But my expectation, we should be the best tight end room in the country. Like you said it, Coach Legs, like. You get guys who have played in big moments, like Kaz and Bennett and Lonnie. Those are some big athletes right there, man. And they all played. I mean, all 6 of my guys played in the playoffs. I only have 6 in the room. Like, there was no one in the room that didn't play in the freaking playoffs. So to hear that we don't play tight ends, it just sends me. But then we add a Max Claire. Max LeBlanc is 240-something now. Nate Roberts came in the winter, and I think he's going to have a great career here. And then we added Brody Lennon. So super deep, and excited to see what we do. But yeah, this is not just going to be a, run block and all that. Like this, we should be the most balanced tight end room also, as far as catching the pass and doing all those other things.
All right. So Bob is being very generous with me because I want to ask another one that this goes into recruiting.
Yeah.
That type of room. Okay. So, hey man, why would you want to go to Ohio State? They got 5-star receivers everywhere. They only got one football. You're a tight end. Why would you want to go there? I guarantee you hear that. Then you bring in Max, I got a passing thread here. Not to say the other ones aren't. How do you navigate those waters in the recruiting world when there's only one football? You have these running backs, you have these wide receivers, you have the tight end group. Oh, I want to be production. How do you navigate those waters when you're recruiting these athletes to come to Ohio State?
Yeah, luckily,
and getting the phone calls from the parents, that guy at that school just had 12 catches, right?
No
Your guys
doubt.
had 2.
Yeah, no doubt. And like tight end's so freaking hard to evaluate. How do you evaluate what a good tight end is? Like there's going to be some games that George Kittle gets 2 balls, right? Like you go back to that Oregon game. Yeah, G had the 50-yard first play. The next play he blocked for JJ. No one mentioned it, but he was the one who sprung that touchdown. JJ's second touchdown, Will Kazmarek just cuffed up at the end, and he never gets credit for that. But to answer your question, one, I show him. Like when Cade was here, he was second on the team in targets and receptions and yards and in touchdowns behind Marvin Harrison. And he got single coverage because when you come to Ohio State with Hart's receivers, you're going to get single coverage. No offense to anybody in my room, Kaz, Bennett, Claire, Jelani, they're not going to double you. They're going to double JJ, and they should, which means that we got to beat a safety and a linebacker. And if we can't do that, I should be fired and they should be cut. So, I mean, you're going to get single coverage, and then you're going to be ready to go to the NFL. Like, you could go play in some other offenses, Coach Legs, and okay, you might catch more passes. You're not going to be ready for that next level. You look at guys like Luke Farrell, just signed a second contract. Ruck and Cade and all those guys that leave here are ready for the league. So I think if a kid in high school talking about receptions before he gets to campus. He's definitely not going to fit in my room. I mean, we're in January doing indie drills in the snow, so he's not going to fit in.
Someone in the chat, Key brought up Cheese battling for extra yards in that Texas game. And,
oh, sweet.
It goes as like a footnote because it doesn't get the first down, but it's a difference between like a 4th and long where you're probably going to have to kick as opposed to 4th and manageable where like there's the option to go. And when you see something like happen, like what, I mean, is that something that we put on film? Like, do we pull those little snippets out to kind of?
Oh my God, yeah. Oh my God, at least in my room. Like, I mean, I wish you could come to some of my meetings. Most of my one good story. The answer is yes there, and then I'll give you a good one. Coach Day came in my meeting room on like a Tuesday of install, and he wanted to talk about like a screen he was going to put in. But that week, we were going to play on the road against a really good opponent. So I was pumping in crowd noise in my meeting. And like my whole theme that week was we got to make this game a tire pull. And for those who don't know, you guys have seen it online. I'm not revealing a secret, but like our mat drills, the station that I get to run is the tire pull. And it's one-on-one tug of war, but with a car tire. So Coach Day comes in our room and it's loud as heck. Like he's looking at me sideways. He can't even hear himself think. And in the middle of my room is a tire that I got from Coach Mick. And like every third clip of my cut up was mat drills. Like I'm talking Tuesday before practice. I should be installing and saying, hey, we're expecting this front and this coverage. Like to me that week, all that's out the window. Like it's my job to make sure you're playing like, and you know what you're doing. I'll get that done by Saturday. Your job, just go so freaking hard. Because my philosophy, we train so hard here. If we could turn every play into a mat drill tire pull, we're going to win every game. And, like, thinking about G, second effort there, again, Kaz has some big blocks. Bennett gets in the game. His first play against, Tennessee, he puts their defensive end in the dirt. If we could turn every rep into a tire pull in my room, Buckeyes are going to be really good. So that's kind of our philosophy. So that's why, I don't know what Coach thought when he came in here and we're watching mat drills. He probably thought we should have been watching, like, I don't know what, but that was a good one.
What I'll leave you. We'll get you out of here pretty quick. I appreciate all the time. It's been fantastic talking to you. Heartline, people applaud him as one of the great recruiters, and you're working under him. You're working with the wide receivers for a couple of years. Then you get in, like you get Roberts, pulling him in, one of the best tight ends. He's out of Oklahoma, adjacent to Sooner Nation right there, and you're able to get him to Ohio State. Jelani Thurman, you get Max Clare out of the portal. What makes I don't even call it the pitch, but what makes you a successful recruiter?
Yeah, I just try to be genuine. Like everyone's different, but like I flew out to Norman, and Nate's brother was playing. He was a starting tight end for the Sooners, and you go to his high school, and it's like a picture of like Jesus and the president, and then like Bob Stoops. Like it was, and I just kept it real with him. And I coached them really hard, and I think kids like that. And I'm young, I'm working out with the guys, and I'm not saying that's why they're coming here, but they're like, all right, this guy's genuine. He's not full of shit. And that's just that's how I coach. So I'm going to try to be like that in recruiting. I mean, the Max Clare one, he literally came in on a Sunday. He was in the portal, and he left Texas and like a 3-day trip at Texas. And he came in here, and I had for 2 hours, all we watched was a cut up of plays that he could be better. Like, I'm not telling him how many receptions. I never once talked about receptions. We watched a cut up of him, and I'm like, what are you doing here? This is awful. Like, the technique is not good. And like, you want to be the best tight end in the country. And then also, like, I showed him, here's the drill I would do, to practice at. And it's me with Jackson Smith and Jigba and Emeka Egbuka and Case Dover. And he's like, oh, So I had a plan. Here's how I'm going to develop you. But, like, it was just authentic. We never talked about targets. I'm like, this is how I coach. I show them, Bobby, how I act at match drills. They see me yelling at practice. They're like, there's no surprises when they get here, or else they're going to be in the portal in like 6 months. They're going to be like, Mom, Dad, this crazy redhead guy's calling me all these names, and he doesn't leave the Woody, and I want to transfer.
I tell people always talk about this. I go, you'll come for the same reasons you'll leave for. And so if you're not coming for the right reasons, you're going to leave for those same ones. It's been a crazy journey for you. Your first year as a tight end coach, and I'll leave you with this. You guys ultimately go, your room is great. Will, breaks his collarbone. You're battling through injuries, trying to figure some things out. You win a national title. There's very little time for reflection at times, but have you taken the time to kind of maybe after the national championship game, sit down and like take inventory on where you've come from and like how you got to this point right now? And you're a national championship winning position coach at Ohio State at 30 years old.
The last thing I want to, and it's up here above my desk, is do not exhale. And like the last thing I'm going to do is exhale. I don't want to, because the second you get comfortable, that's when you stop growing. Now, with that said, Bobby, huge into, I'll go back and read what my goals were, my processes, and see what worked, because obviously I want to stay at the top of the, where we're at. So, I reflect that way, but no, definitely not getting comfortable anytime soon. The reason I stayed here all these years was because it's uncomfortable, and, so no. But hey, I'm shocked you did not bring up how the guy across from you wanted to kick my ass the first time he met me.
Okay. Well, we'll listen. We'll go with that right now, and then you can tell the story, because Mick doesn't like anybody in the weight room. Like, even when I'm going through there, if I say something to players, it's like a pound and walk by. Like, there's no conversations in the weight room. Even if it's your position coach, he goes, this is my domain.
No, I stay out of the way. But when I'm training with my guys, then I'm in it. It's not like a token. Like, I'm touching the line, I'm doing the reps. We have this new coach who I kept hearing about, this like godly figure comes out of the clouds to work with us. The first day introduced, I'm looking forward to making a new friend, being welcoming. Coach introduced me to Coach Slags, and I don't even think Coach Slags said hi. He's like, hey, when I'm training my guys, get out of the way, or something just out of left. And I guess I didn't like the way I looked at him. I didn't like the way he looked at me. Coach Mick was like, guys, it's 5 a.m. You guys are going to love each other. And sure enough, like a week later, we're like best friends.
Yeah, he was like, I'll put it this way. There are times people don't realize this, and I show people this, but when you're training at the college and professional level, even in your group, right, at tight ends or linebackers, or the dudes that I had from the O-line or D-line that needed to be dudes, there's 9 workouts going on within 3 racks.
Yeah.
And the last thing you want to do is have somebody else, because just like you, we're always constantly looking for the nugget that could take that person, not even 1%, but 1% of 1% for that day. And in that moment. And I don't want it to be distracted, because in the past, I haven't been in the college setting in I don't know, a while. And it was like you were in there, and we've had coaches that did that, and they side convo and talk.
Yeah,
it's like, no, like you got all freaking day. And and this is what Mick told me. Mick was like, hey, he's one of us. And I was like, I was fine. I was like, all right, over. And I forget things that quickly, and then it was like, hey, how are your, what do you want? How can we do this, or how can we do that? You're like, hell, I'm driving to road to the boneyard to pick up some stuff, and I found some place. I'm like, what about this? Right? We're just collabing, because all we care about is how do we make our guys better, And that's what it is, right? And that's where the authenticity comes. It's just there's a lot of dudes in that building that have a high GSF to making guys better, and that's why they do what they do.
Well said. Yeah, you're always welcomed in my tight end room. That's all.
All right, Key. Well,
thanks for having me, guys.
Hey, enjoy.
Man, thank you.
Your family, man. Spend some time and get out of here. And
all right,
we'll catch up again later.
Thanks, guys.
See you, brother.
He is the best, man. One of our favorites here. Tight ends coach Keenan Bailey on a long journey. Everybody just wants to be dropped in, coaching a position, doing everything. Like, he did it the right way. And the right way a lot of times, Schlags, is the long way. Attention parents and athletes, protect what matters most with Export mouth guards, trusted by professional athletes and designed by NHL team dentists. Export mouth guards are scientifically tested to absorb those high-impact hits, protecting both your teeth and your brain. Export mouth guards feature 3 layers of advanced protection, including a patented use of carbon fiber that they 3D print that bad boy right to your grill for more protection, better performance, max comfort, and clear communication, so you can focus on your game, not on your gear. Don't take chances with your safety. Visit exportguards.com/Bobby today and save 15% on your order. Export, protect what matters most. We'll react to Keenan Bailey coming up next.
Creative, experience, results. That's what drives growth. That's what builds brands. That's Lakespur Marketing, a full-service agency built on trust, strategy, and performance, not fluff. From bold strategies to flawless execution, every campaign is rooted in smart planning and driven by clear goals. We don't chase clicks. We build partnerships. We show up, dig in, and deliver every single time. Lakespur Marketing. The proof is in our partners.
Oh, the chat was live, Schlegs. Hey, welcome back in, folks. Listen, if you like the coaches' interviews, I've been talking. I got a couple player interviews set up next week. And we probably need to get on Guerreri too. I was thinking about that, and people were talking about Tebow, so I'm going to try to get those guys on next week before they have to actually get back to work and start camp. So I'll try to reach out to those guys if I see them around to get some exposure to them and to some of the players. They've got about 2 weeks before they'll get really locked in here. But listen, like, subscribe, leave your questions, comments. We've got a very active chat, a lot of fun going on in there right now as well. Schlegs, yeah, I mean, you kind of ran that interview. Kind of what were your big takeaways from listening to Keenan Bailey?
I just wanted everybody to understand, like, he's a great representation that, leadership has no age. He didn't play. I honestly say this all the time. Just because guys played at a high level does not mean they can coach. I just want you guys to know this is how Anthony Schlegel evaluates coaches. Are they there to socialize or are they there to coach? And when I see, I don't care about age, right? Whether it's Pop Warner, junior high, high school. I hate it when coaches just stand around, right? And because there's always something to be coaching, whether it's technical, whether it's encouraging, whether it's a finish, there's always something to be coaching. And his success, rapid success, because he's still very, very young, is predicated upon his GSF for doing the things that he's asked to do as hard as he possibly can, with as much enthusiasm, energy, effort for the athlete and the benefit of them, and also serving, whether it was Urban Meyer, Ryan Day, Coach Mick, like that all bodes well for him. I guarantee there's conversations. Who do you like, Nick? Bailey's a dude. All right, awesome. Right? How do I develop that guy? How do I make him a disciple to, come up in this coaching ranks? And then how he went through, evaluated where they were, and just mindset of being creative. And I will say this too, guys, like Larry, somebody was in the chat, like the hate, the knocks that people have go from one person to another. You're not going to find anybody in the building. Well, not fine. All the guys in the building look for ways or look for new things or look and strain, just like they ask their players to strain, for ways that they can be creative to make them better, to simulate what they do in practice to the field, or where does this matter in mat drills to the field, because it all does. And Ryan has done a really nice job of, boom, practice clip, running back code, right? Lock, go. Why do you run that drill? And then he goes to the board or pulls up clips. This is why we run this drill. Because if it doesn't match, or the progression of which they need to do something on the field, it shouldn't be in there. That's confusing activity with achievement. I think he knows that. He's learned it from the very jump. I think he's going to be highly successful, and I just like the way he cares.
Absolutely. All right, we're going to take another quick break. We'll have more back with the Bobby Carpenter Show after this. Yeah, welcome back in the Bobby Carpenter Show. And Schlegs, what interests me the most, I think, was the fact that he has a sign up that says "Don't exhale" is pretty remarkable.
Yes,
he's young. He was named one of the top 30 coaches under 30. With what he's done, he was drawing the ire of maybe some of the fan base early on because he wasn't a big name. He didn't have some long list of places he had coached and guys he had coached under. He was at Notre Dame working as assistant. So he missed you, Schlegs, amazingly here by a year.
Yeah,
when he came in as an intern. If he would have probably been here with you for a year when you were coaching and he was strength coach still and he was an intern, then we wouldn't have that great story about that dust up because you already would have known him. It would have been all good as opposed to get out of my drill.
Well, I didn't want to say it, but I mean, like sometimes it's like the alpha dog marking the territory. You know what I mean?
I know.
And it just is like that's my space because when I'm on the field, my job is to do what? Support you in any way. And I haven't met anybody. And you also got to remember, like when I went in there, there's no reason for me to bring this up, but we have 9 workouts going on. So logistically, how do I put 6 pounds of crap in a 3-pound bag? I gotta be efficient with my time, how I communicate. I haven't worked with Nick in, I don't know, long time. So what was that? That was 20. I hadn't worked with Nick in 9 years.
Yeah,
right?
but you're again, omnipresent, Schlegs, just always around.
But here's the thing though, like I also understand that language drives change. I might call something different than Mick. It's his room. My job is to go in there, support Mick and the other strength coaches to maximize these dudes. I know I was only there for a short window, and that's what it needed to be because KP, my dog, had back surgery. So I'm just there trying to bring the juice, fill the void of what Kenny left and what Mick needed. And it's like, boom, I just got this guy. He's like, hey, I'm kind of around. I'm going to work out with the guys. I'm like, bump, you are, because I've seen other guys do that.
I know, but he's
but I didn't know that. So again, I'm just going to state the fact, like, just like he doesn't sugarcoat stuff, you sure as hell know that I don't sugarcoat stuff, especially when it comes to my domain, which is that, like that's just what it is.
Absolutely.
But I love him and I grew appreciation for him. And I kid you not, he literally would just send me a random text, like 1% of 1% better, finding the edge. It's just some random thing of Texas, like that he's looking through. And I already know what he's trying to look at. You know what I mean? And that's the difference because you and I played. We know what he's looking at when they send it to us. He also sent me a great clip when they were in the playoffs and his dudes refused to do Indy inside. They went outside and it was in the snow. And I'm just like, you did it. You changed the mindset, which again, you're in the weight room.
For a guy like Jelani, who's a basketball dude, came in
100%.
And it's hard, like to convince. I was convincing him, like, buddy, you buy into this and you'll be a great NFL player. You're gonna be great here. If you don't, you'll probably be good, but you'll never be as good as you could be. Like these guys have your best interest at heart. And so just get tough. Everybody wants to just wish they could get like the tough plaque, Schlegs, and put it on your wall. The reality is the tough plaque is earned by getting drugged through the mud. Like you don't just walk up to the podium and get it. Like that is one of doing hard things is what gets you there. And so they've developed a culture now where guys come in and this is what it is. And the fact that he's got max clarity, like, he's got 100 balls last year, Purdue. You're probably going to catch that this year, but your routes are going to be better. You're going to be more efficient. People are going to respect you more. You're going to probably have a higher draft grade coming out than catching 100 balls on a team that's 4-8 and you can't block a soul. So get in here. We're going to get you stronger. We're going to get you tougher. And you're going to be more of a complete player that people are going to rate higher because you're better now than what you were. All right, we got to take a quick break, Schlegs. Before we do that, I want to tell everybody about my friends at Backer. Listen, even though it's the summertime, it's going to be getting cold. You want windbreaker season. It's always rain gear season, cold weather season. It's the premium Buckeye gear that you're going to want to wear. It's bckr.com. Go check it out. There's some other teams that they have they're bringing online, but we're focusing all about the Buckeyes. A portion of the proceeds goes back to Ohio State to help out the NIL stuff. And it's the premium gear that you love that's really nice with all of the features and great fabric, great materials, all the great things that you want to see in there. Use promo code all caps Bobby. Check out for a free expedited shipping. Again, that's backerbckr.com. Headlines coming up next.
Creative, experience, results. That's what drives growth. That's what builds brands. That's Lake Spur Marketing, a full-service agency built on trust, strategy, and performance, not fluff. From bold strategies to flawless execution, every campaign is rooted in smart planning and driven by clear goals. We don't chase clicks. We build partnerships. We show up, dig in, and deliver every single time. Lake Spur Marketing. The proof is in our partners.
All right, welcome back in the show. Now it's time for our headlines brought to you by our friends over Schlegs at Lake Spur Marketing. They've got over 100 years in experience. What they're going to do is help you choose marketing strategies to best fit your needs, the tools, the products customized directly to you. They're going to shield you from cold callers trying to pitch the latest and greatest ideas on new products. They have great ideas for you with their tailored program. Leave the marketing to them so you can do what you do best, which is grow and run your business. Lake Spur Marketing, they're going to eliminate the waste and, as always, deliver on budget and on time, so don't waste anything. Trust the experts. Trust Lake Spur Marketing. The proof is in their partners. Visit them at lakespurmarketing.com today. All right, Schlegs, our guy Jeremiah Smith. I love you. He's a man of few words. He doesn't say a whole lot and doesn't really get a lot of crazy stuff on social media. He doesn't have the Michigan comments, but he's a Miami guy. He went to Chaminade down in Miami, and a Miami fan kind of got after him because people were hoping that he was going to go there. I think they offered him a huge sum of money to stay down there. He decided to ultimately leave and come to Ohio State. There's the famous picture of Ryan like feigning, like faux feigning, if you will, on signing day when his letter came through. And for obvious reasons now, we didn't know it at the time, like how good he was. I think the coaches had a good idea, but I don't put much stock. Like freshman, how good could he possibly be? And so Jeremiah Smith put out there, you can click through it a little bit, telling a Miami fan to get a life, but Air Jordan 2320, ruthless killers like Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Tiger Woods, Tom Brady wanted to beat everybody they competed against. Overrated LeBron James wants to play with everyone else and take shortcuts, easy way to get there. And so he comments on that, or Timothy Johnson. So, and Jeremiah Smith says, 100%. All right. So Timothy Johnson in Miami, his Twitter handle, Schlegs, is Miami Canes 1971. So obviously a Miami Canes fan, probably an alum. So Jeremiah thinks LeBron is a coward who takes shortcuts for easy rings. You mean like playing for Ohio State to bring him a natty instead of your hometown team grew up rooting for? Do the right thing, come home to the U, brother. No more LeBron ring chasing. Then JJ, I love it, dude. Just, man, get a life. Laughing emoji, smack my face. And I'm like, you choose a place to go. If Jeremiah went to 3 schools in 3 years trying to chase rings, yeah, that's one thing. He went to one school where he thought he was going to get developed the most, just as we talked to Keenan Bailey, why guys go there for him. They go there for Brian Hartline because he's going to make you the best you can be.
How about this, Miami? Have better coaches. That's it, right? Have a better relationship. Have yourself a Brian Hartline. If you want a JJ, hire him. Make him your OC. And that goes back, he's not ring chasing because basketball is different.
Oh, yeah.
Basketball is different. Like JJ can't do what he does if he doesn't have an offensive line, running backs that block for the quarterback, other wide receivers that help get him open, and also play callers that set him up for success in plays, like we saw in the Oregon game where he ran a shot across there and took it to the house. And then blocking like what Coach Bailey said with G springing him on that run. Guys, it takes more because you also have to play defense. You have to rely on another 11 guys. You have another 11 guys around the field for special teams. It's just different in college and probably significantly harder, I would imagine, to go back to back or try to chase rings that way because it's the gelling aspect in football because you only get 12 games now plus 4. So it's just different. That was a dumb comment. But I like how the guy went on, like Canes. I did my very best. Everybody else chimed in and he got blocked. But yeah, Jay, again, man, a few words, man, get a life, and then just emojis.
There you go.
So he had four words, 4 emojis.
Perfect. All right.
That's why we probably couldn't have him on the show as our weekly guest.
No, he doesn't speak a whole lot, and it's good. That's a good thing. He does his talking on the field. Right, coming next, we're going to get our tailgate talk where we answer your questions. Coming up next. All right, Schlegs, here we go. Tailgate talk. The chat has been live. You got any great little nuggets that you want to pull out of here? We asked a lot of our stuff to Keenan already from some of the great things that are pouring in here, but I didn't know. I mean, there's a lot of Michigan trolling and all kinds of stuff going in here right now. But anything that you wanted to comment on as far as stuff that you've kind of seen cruising through the chat?
No, I'm not. But that's why I'm going to ask you this. In our tailgate talk, this is something that I had. Go to the very top one. I want to do the Dillingham thing that I put in there, Bob, because this is a question. And this goes back to Keenan. It goes back to the recruiting process. Very front one. Okay, so Dillingham, head coach at Arizona State, made this statement. I want your take on it. Okay, so it was said when you front load, that gives you ability to have money in the rev share. This was from Baylor's head coach Dave.
This we have like a minute left here. You're trying to pull out a 5-minute conversation. You got to
but I don't want it. I like this stuff. This
I know.
is good.
We'll see it for tomorrow. There's a reason why I don't get it. There's a reason why I don't get into certain things because you see that little red box in the right top left corner.
This is 46.
That is the time. All right.
Here, this is what I'm going to use my minute for. Listen, get your truck outfitted the right way. I'm getting, just so you know, they sell tires there. Nitto Grappler tires. I got to get 295s because the Chevy wheel wells are too boxy. They got everything you want for your trucks. Matter of fact, just so you guys know, the chief growth marketing officer for Real Truck, Buckeye fan. So not only do they have great stuff, the people that are in charge, they love the Buckeyes too. So go shop it up. How about that? How about that for my minute?
All right. Well, we got your parting thoughts.
That's for you, Tony.
You're going to get one more minute after this. All right, Schleis, we got your parting thoughts here. Now you actually have a minute where you can just kind of say whatever you want, except for bringing up conversations that are going to take like 10 to 15.
No, this will be very, very quickly. So, I've been very fortunate. Even the past couple of days, I've been self-introspecting on myself, and I think it's something that we should all probably do. But what are the things that take you away from being the best version of yourself, whatever it is, in your own job capacity? I had a great experience this morning because sometimes, like we talked about Lakesboro, like you're too busy working in the business and not on it. And it's great. It was great. I was at the gym this morning super early, help open it up with Lacey, who's a shot put thrower, got to talk to a lot of different members, ways to always improve. But what are the things that allow you to be the best version of yourself to help your business move the needle? But that came from another conversation that I had with the owner of Export Mouthguards, right? So we're going to be doing some cool co-branding things with the Armory, myself, and Export just to help them out. Because, again, it's amazing how parents are willing to spend $180 for a pair of batting gloves, but yet they don't want to buy, a mouth guard that's custom fit, the best on the market for their kids when it also improves their performance and while keeping them safe. So it's just degrees to that. And we're just contemplating how do we sell that value prop. But again, they do a great product. That's my nugget. Guys, don't be afraid to get in the weeds and embrace that discomfort that Keenan was talking about.
It's funny. Now you're not afraid to get in the weeds, but back in high school and early college, you probably weren't afraid to puff on the weeds. So full circle, connect the sphere for your legs and you're ready to live. We'll be back at you tomorrow with more of the Bobby Carpenter Show.